I should have never taken that damn road. That much is clear to me now. But back then, it looked like the perfect shortcut, an empty stretch of blacktop winding through the American heartland, miles away from the congestion of the interstate. My name is Michael Turner, and what I'm about to tell you is the reason I haven't driven at night for the past 6 years. Friends, you enjoy listening to stories, but you don't subscribe to the channel or like the videos. I request you to please subscribe to the channel right now so that I get more motivation to bring you even more stories. If you help me reach 1,000 subscribers, I promise to bring you extremely scary stories with a truly real feel, 2 horror stories every single day. So go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and now let's move on to today's story. It all started in the summer of 2019 when I packed my old Ford Explorer and set off on a road trip across the US. I had just left New York, heading toward Arizona to meet a couple of friends for a reunion. The plan was simple: music, roadside diners, long highways cutting through endless cornfields, and a sense of freedom. For the first few days, everything was perfect. I traced Route 66 in places, pulled over to photograph rusted gas stations, even slept in my car once under a sky spattered with stars. But on the 4th day, after leaving Missouri, I made a mistake I'll regret for as long as I live. I was somewhere in Oklahoma, running low on gas in daylight. The GPS on my phone flickered, showing a shortcut that curved through an unfamiliar county road, cutting my driving time by an hour. At least, that's what it promised. I stared at the screen, hesitated, and then thought, why not? The back roads had always appealed to me more than the soulless hum of the interstate. The turnoff was easy to miss, a cracked stretch of asphalt hidden behind tangled trees and a faded sign that I couldn't quite read as I swerved onto it. Almost immediately, the road narrowed. My tires shuddered over potholes, weeds clawing up through the cracks of neglected pavement. But I kept driving, telling myself this was just a forgotten county road. Then the GPS froze. The screen locked on an image, showing me stuck between 2 fields. No matter how many times I tapped it or restarted, the little blue dot never moved. I laughed nervously, chalking it up to bad reception. But a part of me felt uneasy as the light outside dimmed and the trees grew thicker. The deeper I drove, the stranger it felt. The trees leaned closer over the cracked asphalt, as though they were conspiring to block out the last of the daylight. My headlights came on automatically, sweeping over gnarled trunks and glimpses of broken fences. The road twisted in odd ways, narrowing again, then suddenly splitting before meeting itself a few miles away. It was like driving through a maze drawn by a drunk. At first, I thought I hadn't seen another car because it was too rural. But by the 3rd hour on that road, it hit me. I hadn't seen anything. No gas stations, no houses, no mailboxes, just miles of silent trees and the road unraveling beneath me. My gas tank slipped dangerously close to empty, and that's when I spotted it. A lone gas station standing under a flickering canopy light. Relief washed over me. I pulled in, noticing how out of place it looked, like something plucked from the 1950s and forgotten. The building was squat, windows smeared with so much grime that they looked painted over. The pump was a single, rust-streaked machine, its digits faded. I stepped out, gravel crunching under my boots. and I swore I felt the air drop in temperature. The night was strangely still. My footsteps seemed too loud, echoing against the tin roof. "Hello?" I called toward the office. No answer. I tried the pump, but it groaned like some rusted beast and coughed dust. That's when I noticed something scratched in the metal fixture near the handle. It was crude, desperate. "Turn back." I froze, staring at it in the pale glow of the canopy. Those words looked like they'd been carved with a knife, each stroke ragged, quick, almost frantic. I should have left then. I should have listened. But instead, I heard the door creak open. From the station office. "Pump's dead." I gave a nervous laugh. "Yeah, I figured. Is there another station somewhere close?" He leaned against the doorframe, scanning me slowly. My car, my face, back to my car. "Ain't nothing close. Road won't take you there." Something about the way he said it, "the road won't take you there," sent a chill crawling down my spine. "What do you mean?" I asked. Instead of answering, he shuffled back inside, leaving the door open behind him. Against my better judgment, I followed. The office smelled stale, like forgotten oil and mold. A thin counter stretched across the back wall, papers stacked in curling piles, all browned with age. A fan ticked uselessly in the corner. The light overhead flickered just enough to make my eyes ache. On the counter sat a rotary phone. I lunged toward it. The man's hand shot out to catch my wrist before I could grab it. His fingers were ice cold, the grip deceptively strong. "No calls out," he rasped. I yanked back, trying to sound braver than I felt. "Look, buddy, I just need directions. That's it. I'll be gone." The man stared at me, as if weighing something. Then, almost reluctantly, he lifted a trembling hand and pointed at the wall behind him. There was a map pinned there, only it wasn't like any map I'd seen. The roads were sketched in thick black crayon, twisting in nonsensical patterns. Whole towns were crossed out with angry slashes. Around the edges, written over and over, was one phrase: "No way out." The man's voice dropped to a whisper. "You never left. Roads got you now." My pulse thundered in my ears. The man's words pressed down on me like a weight. "You never left. Roads got you now." I staggered back from the counter, eyes flicking from the strange map to the rotary phone, then to the open doorway behind me. My gut screamed at me to run. "All right," I forced out, voice unsteady. "Thanks for the help." He didn't stop me this time. He just stood there, his blurred features twitching as though he wanted to say something more but couldn't. His eyes followed me as I backed through the doorway, out into the night. The canopy light buzzed louder, almost harsh like the static of an untuned radio. I jumped into my Explorer, hands trembling as I shoved the keys into the ignition. The engine roared to life, blessed and familiar, and that was all the reassurance I needed. Tires screeched on gravel as I tore away from that decrepit station. The trees closed in once again as the roads swallowed me up. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror. For a moment, I thought I saw the tall man still standing in the doorway, getting smaller and smaller until the canopy light blinked out completely, leaving nothing but dark. I drove for what felt like hours. The night deepened. My gas needle hugged empty, but I kept pushing. My mind kept replaying the words scratched into the pump: "Turn back." But turning back was impossible, because after another 20 minutes of driving, the road curved unnaturally, sharper than before. My headlights swept the trees, the asphalt winding like a snake, until suddenly I saw it again. The same gas station, same flickering canopy, same gravel lot. "No," I whispered, gripping the steering wheel too tight. "No, it's not possible." I hadn't made a single turn. I had driven straight. Yet here it was, like the road had folded in on itself. Slamming the brakes, I sat frozen, staring at the place I had just escaped. My phone was still dead. The forest around me felt thicker, pressing close to the car. Silence spread out, heavy and suffocating. Then the canopy light blinked on by itself. The office door creaked open again. The canopy flickered once, twice, then held steady, humming with that unnatural buzz. My insides crawled. It wasn't just that I was back where I started, it was that the place seemed to expect me. The office door was open wider this time. A faint yellow glow spilled out, swaying like candlelight, not the same sickly bulb I'd seen before. My gut twisted, screaming at me to floor the gas pedal and tear into the night, but the Explorer sputtered when I tapped the accelerator. My dashboard flickered, as though the battery and engine were draining all at once. I smacked the wheel, panic scraping at my chest. No, not now! The radio clicked on by itself. Static filled the car, then a voice leaked through. A weak, broken one. It was my own voice. "You never left," it hissed. That was enough to push me out of the car. Gravel scraped beneath my boots as I stumbled toward the open office. I told myself maybe there was a phone somewhere deeper in, maybe some clue to whatever was happening. Rationality slipped through my fingers, but desperation clung tight. This time the place looked different. The counter was gone. The rotary phone, gone. The flickering bulb was gone. Instead, the interior stretched long and narrow like a hallway, lined with gas pumps that shouldn't have been there. Ancient, rusting machines arranged neatly in rows on either side. The walls closed in with peeling wallpaper that carried stains, shaped like handprints smearing toward the ceiling. And at the end of that impossible hallway, the tall man waited. He wasn't leaning in the doorway anymore. He was standing straight, both hands hanging at his sides, staring at me. His blurred face seemed more distorted than before, as though details were sliding off, features dripping like wax. "You shouldn't have come back," he rasped.
"I didn't want to come back," I shouted, before I could stop myself. My voice echoed too loudly, bouncing off walls that looked like they were bending closer to me. I kept driving straight and "The road chose you." His words hit me harder than a fist. The way he said chose made it sound final, permanent. I took a step back, swallowing the bile rising in my throat. "Then tell me how to get out." The man tilted his head, like before, except slower this time, as if the motion wasn't entirely his choice. His blurred mouth twitched. "There's only one way." A pause stretched, my heartbeat hammering in the silence. Then he whispered, "You drive until it takes you." Those words, "You drive until it takes you," stuck in my head like a splinter. The hallway worked around me, stretching longer, the gas pumps along the walls, groaning as if something alive moved inside their rusted shells. I didn't wait to hear more. I bolted. My boots pounded against the buckling linoleum as I tore back toward the doorway. The night air hit me like a blast of raw reality, but even reality felt fragile now. My Explorer still sat right where I left it, headlights dimming like dying eyes. Without thinking, I lunged for the driver's seat, slammed the door, and twisted the key. The engine coughed, fought, then miraculously, it roared to life. "No more," I muttered, voice trembling. "I'm done with this place. Done. I pulled out, tires gouging the gravel, headlights flickering wildly across the tree line as I shot back onto the road. For miles or minutes, I couldn't tell anymore. I gunned it down the twisting blacktop. The forest pressed closer, branches clawing at the edges of my high beams. The yellow lines on the pavement bled like fresh paint, rippling in the corner of my eyes. I should have reached something by then. A sign, another junction, even a farmhouse light through the trees. But nothing came. Only more road that coiled and lurched like a snake beneath my tires. And then, headlights in the distance. For the first time all night, relief surged through me. Another car, another person. I leaned on the horn, flashing my brights, desperate for them to see me. But as the vehicle drew closer, my relief curdled to dread. It wasn't just another car, it was my own. Same Ford Explorer, same dent on the driver's side door, same cracked windshield. And worse, behind the wheel, illuminated for a brief instant as we passed, was me. My own face, pale and terrified, staring straight ahead. I screamed, the sound ripping out of me as I jerked the wheel, the Explorer fishtailing wildly across the asphalt. Somehow, I righted it before crashing into the trees. My breaths came ragged, spots dancing in my vision as my mind reeled. Had I just seen myself? Or was the road showing me something I couldn't stand to admit, that I was already lost? The urge to stop, to just collapse and give in, pressed heavy on my chest, but something deeper, more primal, shoved me forward. I couldn't let the road win. Up ahead, through the thicket of trees, I saw lights again. Different this time, not a gas station, warmer, flickering orange, like lanterns or bonfires. Civilization, people, a way out. I pushed the Explorer harder, ignoring the rattling in the frame and the squeal of tired shocks. As I drew closer, the trees fell back, parting into a clearing. There, in the middle of nowhere, stood a cluster of wooden cabins, glowing dimly with firelight. Figures moved between them, shadows carrying lanterns, their faces hidden. A town, or what passed for one. For the first time that night, I wasn't alone. But deep in my bones, I knew I hadn't found salvation. I had driven straight into the road's trap. I slowed as the Explorer rolled into the clearing, gravel crunching beneath the tires. The cabins looked old, older than anything untouched by progress should have been. Their wooden beams sagged with time, their roofs patched with black tar sheets. Lanterns swayed from crude posts, casting jittery light across the faces of the figures moving between them. At first, I thought these people might help me. That gut-deep relief swelled until I saw them more clearly. They didn't walk right. Their movements were too stiff, jerky, like marionettes on tangled strings. Their heads tilted at angles no neck should bend. Some carried lanterns low to the ground. Others clutched objects that looked like tools or weapons, though I couldn't be sure. Still, I told myself, people are people. Maybe they knew the road out of here. I cut the engine, and silence dropped heavy over the clearing. One by one, the figures turned toward me. Their faces flashed in the firelight, and my heart nearly stopped. Every face was blurred, just like the tall man's. I slid out of the car slowly, hands up in surrender. Hello? I think I'm lost. Can anyone tell me where this road ends? No one answered. Not at first. They simply stared. Countless blurred visages pointed in my direction, like masks smeared with wet paint. Then, as though triggered by my voice, they began to move, together, in tandem.
A dozen of them stepped forward, lanterns swaying in rhythm, feet dragging in perfect unison. The sound of their boots scuffing the dirt echoed too loudly, like amplification inside a cavern. Finally, one broke from the group. A woman. I knew she was a woman only because her body had the suggestion of curves beneath a tattered dress. Her face was no clearer than the others, but her voice carried, soft and sharp across the clearing. "You're not supposed to be here." Her words pierced the night, familiar, echoing the man's warning at the gas station. I licked my lips nervously. Yeah, I got that much. But is there a way out? A highway? Anything? The blurry crowd responded all at once. Every single one spoke, their voices folding together in a tide of whispers. No way out. No way out. No way out. The chant rose, spilling through the clearing. My skin crawled, sweat prickling across my neck. The woman raised her hand, silencing them instantly. Her head tilted like a broken doll. "You drive until it takes you, or you stay with us." The group parted slightly, gesturing to the largest cabin at the center of the cluster. The firelight revealed its door was open, black inside, like a throat waiting to swallow me whole. "You can stop running," the woman whispered, stepping closer, her blurred features twitching as though struggling to become human again. "Stay in the town. Belong to it. It's easier than fighting." Behind me, I heard my Explorer tick softly, its heat cooling in the night. My only ticket out. My choices were clear, and neither felt like survival. Step into that impossible cabin with these blurred townsfolk, or keep driving until the road made good on its promise to take me. But I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. "I'm not staying," I said, backing toward my car. My voice cracked, but I forced it firm. "I don't belong here." The chant began again, louder this time. "No way out. No way out. No way out." And as I jumped back into the Explorer, slamming the door, starting the engine, I realized something that froze my blood. They weren't chanting at me. They were chanting for me, like they all been me once before. I didn't stick around to hear the end of their chant. My trembling hands fumbled with the keys, but the Explorer roared to life quicker than I dared hope. Adrenaline flooded me, sharp and blinding, as I tore the shifter into drive and slammed the accelerator. The wheels spun in the dirt, spraying gravel. The blurred townsfolk lurched toward me, their movements jerky but monstrously fast, closing the gap yards at a time. Lantern lights streaked across my windshield as they reached for the Explorer, fingertips smearing the glass as though even their touch wanted to erase details from the world. I floored it. The engine howled, dragging me past them, through the gap in the cabins and back onto the road. My headlights carved desperate tunnels through the dark. As the chanting swelled behind me, louder, impossibly louder, as though they were still right at my ear, though I'd left them in the dust. I didn't dare look back. My eyes locked forward on the lonely, twisting asphalt. Trees bent overhead in a bony canopy, blurring into streaks of black with the speed. But then, the whisper of wheels. In the rearview mirror, headlights bloomed. Not one, not two, dozens. All the blurred townsfolk, in cars, trucks,
Vehicles I couldn't even name, their faces smeared into misshapen ovals. Their lanterns burned inside their cabins, nauseating spots of orange. And yet, they moved in perfect unison, a convoy of the damned. They were chasing me. I pressed the gas pedal to the floor, the Explorer rattling with the strain. The speedometer needle creeped higher, but no matter how fast I drove, the procession of lights never faltered. They stayed just close enough to remind me I wasn't getting away. And over the roar of the engine, their chant filled my car again. Though no window was open, no speaker alive. No way out. No way out. Each word thudded against my skull, drilling deep, like the road itself was carving out my future. Hours, minutes, time had lost meaning. Later, I crested a hill so suddenly my stomach lurched. My high beam swept across an impossible sight. The town again. The same cabins, lanterns burning. But this time, they weren't waiting for me. This time, I saw myself stepping out of my Explorer in the center of the clearing. A perfect copy. My own blurred doppelganger joining their ranks. The convoy of vehicles behind me didn't slow. They turned one by one into the lights, obeying the invisible design of the road. And at that moment, it hit me like ice water in my veins. That was their fate. That was what they meant. The town was made of people like me, the lost, the desperate, the ones sucked in by this cursed stretch of asphalt until they became part of it. My other self tilted my head in my direction, almost knowingly, before fading back into the crowd. "No," I hissed through clenched teeth. "That won't be me." I ripped the wheel hard, veering away from the clearing just as the road forked into shadow. The Explorer screamed in protest, tires shrieking against the pavement, my body thrown against the seatbelt. In the rearview mirror, the town flickered out like a dying flame.
The convoy of townsfolk cars didn't follow me this time, but the chanting, it lingered. No longer from behind. Now it came from inside the car, deep in my bones, a new voice under my skin. And for the first time all night, I wasn't sure if I was escaping anymore or if this was how the road was finally taking me. The chanting didn't stop. It wasn't loud anymore, not booming, not filling the air like before. Now it was subtle, insidious, a murmur bleeding from the seams of my thoughts like it had rooted itself in my nervous system. No way out, no way out. I clenched the wheel so hard my knuckles ached, muttering to myself to drown it out. It's not real, it's just the road, just a mind trick. Keep driving, keep moving. But the road itself was changing. The asphalt beneath my headlights no longer looked solid. It rippled, dark waves rolling outward as though I were driving on the skin of a massive animal. The dashed yellow line warped, stretched, bent sideways into meaningless shapes. Trees leaned in at odd angles, their trunks folding in unnatural arcs that made my eyes sting when I tried to follow them. The speedometer needle quivered even though my foot never left the gas. 50, 60, 80, then back down to 30 without explanation. And then the speedometer stopped altogether. The needle didn't drop to zero, it vanished. The dashboard flickered, scrambled like static before going black. I was driving blind to reality, my sense of motion anchored only by the warped blur of the world outside. Through the distortion of the headlights, shapes began to appear. Human figures, dozens of them, standing on the sides of the road, evenly spaced like mile markers. As I flew past them, their faces snapped into clarity for fractions of a second. They were me. Every single one. Different versions, all blurred, pale, distorted, some burned, some twisted into screaming masks, others slouched, broken, as though the road had ground them down to nothing. Some banged their fists on invisible glass in silence, mouths gaping wide open. I gritted my teeth and kept my eyes forward, refusing to look. If I stared too long, I knew I'd never leave. When the horizon cracked open, I thought for half a second I was free. At the end of the warped highway, I saw light, a blazing white glow tearing across the sky, swallowing the forest in a flood of brilliance. My chest soared with raw hope. Finally, the exit, the end, whatever it was, salvation. I slammed the gas deeper, the Explorer shuddering, shaking like it would split apart. But as I drew closer, I realized the truth. It wasn't light. It was headlights. Headlights bigger than buildings, massive and endless, stacked into rows like the eyes of something grotesque, bearing down the road toward me. A truck, but no human machine. A truck the size of a city block, barreling forward, wheels taller than skyscrapers, grill gnashing like a steel jaw. The road wasn't leading me to salvation, it was feeding me straight into the mouth of a titan. And still, the whisper in my head repeated, calm and absolute, "You drive until it takes you." Instinct roared. I yanked the wheel hard, swerving off the road. Trees exploded against the headlights, branches shattering like glass as I plowed into the woods. The Explorer bounced, tore, scraped, and finally, with a choking cough, died beneath me. I sat in silence, chest heaving, the night air pouring in through the busted window. The chanting in my head quieted. The Titan's headlights vanished as though they'd never been there. And for the first time since this nightmare began, there was nothing. Just woods, just dirt, just the sound of my breathing. Had I beaten it? Had I escaped? I leaned back in my seat, trembling, tears stinging my eyes. Maybe I was free. That's when I noticed it. Through the cracked windshield, just a few feet ahead, the yellow dashed line of the road, waiting for me. I sat frozen, staring at that yellow line gleaming faintly under the moonlight, so out of place, so obscene. I had driven into the forest, smashed through trees, torn myself off the asphalt, and yet the road was right there, as if it had grown beneath my car when I wasn't looking. My throat tightened. I whispered the words like a prayer, hating myself for them. No way out. The air around me felt heavier, pressing everything down. Even the sounds of crickets died. It was just me and the road. For a long time, I didn't move. My hand hovered over the ignition like I could decide not to fall back into it, like I had a say. But deep down, I already knew. If I didn't start driving, the road would make me. It always had. So I turned the key. The Explorer's engine coughed back to life, weaker, rattling like it was holding together by stubbornness alone. My lights flared across the trees, and still, the only direction forward was the asphalt. I pulled back onto it. A few miles, if miles even meant anything anymore, passed in that thick silence. My body shook from exhaustion. I couldn't tell if I was even moving or if the world was just unspooling around me like film in an old projector. Then I saw him.
A figure on the roadside, thumbs stuck out like a classic hitchhiker's pose. His body was long, skinny, in a red flannel shirt. He towered against the trees, his blurred face turned toward me. My chest went cold. It was the gas station man. He didn't move when I slowed, didn't drop his arm. He just waited. I rolled the car to a stop beside him before realizing what I was doing. The passenger door clicked open on its own, and he slid in. The static smell filled the car instantly, like ozone after lightning. His long fingers wrapped around his knees, folded wrong, too bendable. "You should stop fighting," he croaked. "The road always wins." I gripped the wheel tighter. My voice cracked when I asked, "What happens when it takes you?" For the first time, his blurred face tilted toward me in something like sympathy. "You join the others in the town. No more driving, no more running." I glanced at him, then back to the road, whipping ahead. "And if I don't? If I keep running?" His smile was a smear. "Then you'll split, you'll scatter, you'll see yourself until nothing's left." As if to prove his words, figures began appearing on the road itself. Every 20 feet, another me, standing in the middle of the lane, pale, terrified, hands outstretched. They blurred past as I refused to stop. Some dented the windshield as I hit them, but there was no glass breaking, no impact, just a shudder through my spine, and their mouths wide open in wordless screams. The gas station man leaned back, whispering as though humming a lullaby. "They were you. They were all you. Every mile another chance you lost. Every loop another you resigned to it." I shook my head violently, tears burning my eyes. "No, no, I can get out. I will get out." But the road's chant returned, louder than ever, inside and outside, through the tires, through the wheel, through my chest. "No way out. No way out. No way out." The chanting was no longer just sound, it was vibration. It shook through the steering wheel, rattled the Explorer, and crawled under my skin until my heartbeat matched its rhythm. No way out. No way out. The blurred man in the passenger seat sat motionless, his face twitching in and out of forms, sometimes the gas station attendant, sometimes the flannel hitchhiker, sometimes me, my own blurred mask, staring back at me like a corpse reflection. "You can't run forever," he rasped. "None of us could." I ignored him, eyes locked straight ahead. The road whipped and bent, folding in unnatural angles, as though it was watching my defiance. Trees stretched into grotesque shapes, their branches forming archways I had no choice but to pass under. Suddenly, the forest broke. Ahead, a bridge. A massive concrete bridge spanning nothingness. No rivers, no canyons, just a black void stretching endlessly on either side. I knew, deep in my gut, I knew this was it, the choice. The town was behind me, waiting, the road beneath me, endless, and ahead, this bridge through nothing. The blurred man's static, cracked voice dropped to a whisper. "If you cross, you leave everything. If you fall, you are nothing. Stay, stay with us. The town is home." I shook my head, knuckles blistering white on the wheel. "I don't want your home. I don't want your town. I just want out." For the first time, his blurred form trembled violently, distortion twisting him in spasms. His voice splintered into echoes of 1,000 versions of myself, all speaking at once. "There is no out!" Rage, desperation, whatever it was, it surged through me hotter than fear. I slammed the pedal to the floor, the Explorer screaming as it hurtled itself onto the bridge. Concrete thundered beneath me. The void on either side pulsed, whispering with thousands of voices, all mine, clawing to pull me down.
The blurred man thrashed in the passenger seat, flickering in and out like a radio signal, his form destabilized, collapsing into streaks of white static before vanishing completely. I pressed harder, faster. The bridge stretched ahead forever, yet I refused to lift my foot. I could feel the engine seizing, the whole frame rattling apart, but I didn't care. If there was no exit, then I would make one. Suddenly, light. A pinpoint glow at the far end of the bridge, expanding, growing brighter, golden instead of white, warm instead of sterile. Hope surged through my veins. I roared, a raw scream tearing from my throat as the explorer hurtled toward it. And then, impact. I was blinded. Screeching metal, a jolt so violent I thought I'd shattered in half. My head slammed forward, and suddenly, everything was still. Silence. Light. When my eyes fluttered open, I was sitting in my car, on a normal road. The sun was rising over flat cornfields, stretching on either side. Birds sang. My GPS buzzed faintly, showing me clearly back on Route 66.
I sat there shaking, half laughing, half sobbing. Had it been a nightmare? A hallucination from exhaustion? Was it over? But when I lifted my hand from the wheel, I froze. Carved into the skin of my palm, raw and red as if burned in with a brand, were the words, "No way out." And in the rear-view mirror, for just 1 second before it faded, I saw the blurred face of myself staring back. I stared at the scar in my palm until my vision swam. The carved words, "No way out," burned deeper than any fire. And even though the pain dulled, something inside me knew it would never heal. The morning sun spread gold across the fields. A truck rumbled by in the opposite lane, the driver giving me a casual wave. Normalcy, ordinary life, so close I could touch it. But I didn't wave back, because I knew the truth. The road hadn't let me go. It had only spat me out, for now. It wanted me to remember, to live with it like a splinter in my soul until the day it called me again. And when that day comes, when the yellow line rises beneath my tires once more, I won't escape twice. Next time, I'll join the town. I turned my eyes back to the horizon, hands trembling on the wheel. The Explorer hummed beneath me, just another car on just another American highway. People would pass me, I'd see rest stops, diners, gas stations that didn't whisper threats from their rusted pumps. But in every mile marker, every stretch of blacktop, I'd feel it pulsing beneath the asphalt, waiting. Because out here, on the endless roads of America, there are shortcuts you can never take back. And I'll spend every day knowing it's still out there, waiting to take me home. Friends, you enjoy listening to stories, but you don't subscribe to the channel or like the videos? I request you to please subscribe to the channel right now so that I get more motivation to bring you even more stories. If you help me reach 1,000 subscribers, I promise to bring you extremely scary stories with a truly real feel, 2 horror stories every single day. So go ahead, like the video,